Hey, hello. It is Tuesday, and I wanted to jump on today for a couple of reasons, but I am super excited to be tuning in live. My name is Marissa Friedman. I am known as the Executive Cat Herder. If you don't know, now you do. And one of the things that I do in my practice when I'm doing marketing is really taking people into the behind the scenes of what it has been like to actually be working in my business and on my business. There's a lot of people out there that are claiming, as gurus, they claim a lot of different things around their businesses, and yet they never really kind of open the door. Or it used to be like open the kimono, right? But now we can't say that because that's not appropriate, right? But the whole goal is I try to use a lot of information that I have to make things super actionable, to allow people to see kind of the things that are coming through. Hey, Melody, how are you? Nice to see you. So one of those things that I thought I would spend some time today was really talking about relevancy and how to look at things when you're doing ad strategy. So I wanted to share it because I actually had something happen today. I'm going to go ahead and try and bring this up, where I had I've been running a $5 a day ad on Google Ads. And people say, Marissa, that's crazy. You will not get anything from that. That is the dumbest thing you can do. And I said, I'm just $5 a day, right? Like, what is it worth to potentially really think something through on the type of person that would kind of do that? And so that $5 a day strategy is something that I do on every platform. And you start to add it up and it can kind of cost a little bit. And ironically, the you're asking for what do's and don'ts advice can you give to a new entrepreneur? So this is actually one of the strategies, and that's building the audience. You need to build the audience long before you need it. And so many times people are waiting for the perfect moment, or it's always like, oh, I can do this then, or maybe I'll add this, or maybe I'll do that. And what I try to explain to people is the worst thing you can do is actually try to build that too late. And too often people will make social media or marketing their last priority and then wonder, wait a minute, like, how is this not working? Why is this not working the way it needs to be? What are those things that make sense? And what I tell people is, listen, you need a tribe long before you ever plan on selling to it. So if you think that after you spent all of this time and effort and energy into product development and design and marketing and all of this imagery, and you haven't invested any time into building this audience, you are going to be sorely disappointed, because it's a hyper-competitive market, meaning that your effort and your marketing muscle, and you'll hear me say this over and over again, your marketing muscle is very important. The time that it takes you to build an audience and connect with people authentically. I want you to think about sales. I want you to think about some of the relationships. For example, I think Melody's on here, right? We've met online. I have never once come to her and said, Melody, buy my program because it's amazing. Melody, you got to become a customer. I'm going to need your credit card. I want you to be my customer. That's not how we build relationships. So when we look at building that audience and that relationship, I'm going to ask you to think about, what value are you giving to your audience? Now, recently, I've made a decision to actually limit and put boundaries around the types of advice and things that I was going to give people. Mainly that it's going to be on live streams and it's going to be in my private group, or it's going to come if you're a client. And even though I'm kind of limiting some of that information, I'm actually still giving the information. You just have to come into my community if you want it. So that's exciting for me, because as a business owner, specifically on the strategy side, when you are a new entrepreneur, you're not sure what to do. Everything is contraindicative, meaning like, hey, this blog says you post at 9 a.m. This one says you post at 2 a.m. Who's right? For every strategy someone gives you, you can go Google an opposite strategy that says why that one sucks. And what ends up happening is you take a lot of classes and you actually don't take action. So one of the first things that I did when I started my business is actually, thanks guys, marketing muscle, right? One of the first things that I did was I really looked at, I needed a metric. I needed something to understand what was my digital footprint, right? Like, what's my digital footprint? How do I get to my digital footprint? And how am I making sure that when I am showing that that I am showing my business footprint, how am I showing that footprint, and how are people actually going to measure that, right? Like, how do you measure that? So I thought the best way that I could show all of you today was to kind of get behind that curtain and actually show you my journey and what it took to get to where I am now, right? Like if you look up, best strategists in San Diego, if you look up very specific things that we've optimized for, we're there on page 1 and we're there 6 times. And by the way, my ad budget is not ginormous, okay? Ginormous is an official marketing term. So I wanna go ahead and bring you behind the scenes because I think it's important for you guys to actually see what the effort looks like and how that effort really, really played into how I built the business. So really quickly, you'll be able to see this in just a second, and you should be able to see this business report card, and I'm gonna go ahead and make it a little bit bigger for you. But what happened here is that I basically had an opportunity really aggressively when I realized that the first key of selling anything online or getting more customers was that people needed to know me. Now, there's a lot of different people. You're welcome. Thanks so much for joining me, you guys. There's a lot of people that will never, ever show you the truth. So here is my truth, okay? I was really good at getting clients and projects, but unfortunately, every single client and project that I got was a referral, which meant that I didn't have any organic or exterior sources of revenue, which means that, for as much as everyone talks about your sphere of influence and all of that stuff, well, I think that's wonderful. I actually think it's okay to market to a wider audience. Now, if you have questions that are going to come up, go ahead on the bottom. There's that scroll number. You can text that in. I may answer it today. I may answer it later on in the week. But I wanted you to see this experience and this journey and what it actually took time-wise. So how many of you are used to kind of seeing this ad where they say, hey, we can put you on the first page of Google, right? That's typically the thing, right? We can put you on the first page of Google. Well, you're not going to be on the first page of Google, first of all. We know that that's going to take a little bit of time, right? Now, what I want you to see is back in August, okay? Now, this is August of 2018. This is where this little arrow is. And you'll note up here it says where I started. I had an F. People could not find me. People, not only could they not find me, they were unable to engage with me. And so what ended up happening is a severe and significant investment in actually having to put money into my online presence. And so very simply, as you look here, we can see September, and then all the way through to 2019. And then all of a sudden, if you start looking, you start seeing this kind of hockey stick, and then it's maintaining. So what that tells you is that consistency, the most unsexy thing as an entrepreneur is consistency. That consistency in marketing is going to help you win, number 1. Number 2, once you put that level of effort, it took a year. It took a year. It took a year of consistent investment in making content, creating content, engaging with the community, actually point where I could even be there. And by the way, we're in year 2, right, of this significant investment into marketing, and I'm like so close to an A, but I'm still a B. So what does that tell you? Well, number 1, algorithms change. So be wary of any guru out there who is the Facebook guy or the YouTube guy, or listen, there are some really great tools out there that you can use. Have you ever heard of Facebook Blueprint? If you haven't, you should go check it out, because that is Facebook's courses, curriculums, certifications. Same thing with Google. They have courses, certifications. All of these things and information are online for you. And this journey to relevancy for me, the first year was the hardest part of that year. After that, it's like you can see, it just keeps going up, and it was easy. But it took me a second. It took me time to actually say, hey, I love getting referral business. It's so much easier to close a referral. But worst case scenario, the economy changes, other things change. I still need to be able to attract clients in and close business, and I need to be able to demonstrate value. So this is why when I work with clients, every client I work with gets their report from day 1, because day 1 is where we start. I don't care how much effort you've had or how much you've sold in the past or any of those things. You know why? Because at the end of the day, this is a perfect example. there are a ton of business owners right now today who have been in business for a really long time that are finding themselves challenged. And they're finding themselves challenged because they actually have to think through all of the unsexy things that we have to do in business, right? I don't enjoy, I enjoy creating content. Do I enjoy scheduling it, posting it, hashtag researching, validating the blogs against SEO, all this other stuff that's ancillary? Absolutely not. Do I know what it gives me in terms of my return on investment? And that's why I do it. So I show you this report card, not because I want a cookie or I expect anything special, but I want you to see the journey of someone who finally decided, hey, I have a strategy firm. We're doing X, Y, and Z. We're getting referral clients. We don't need to do this. And then I thought about it and I said, well, the best way for me to be able to do it is to actually dive in. And again, just to reiterate that point to you guys, I started at an F and I already had a successful six-figure company, right? Like I already was somewhat like, this wasn't a new thing for me, but taking it seriously and looking at the metrics and being able to evaluate just continues to show me that even when an algorithm changes, we continue to be relevant. And I think that's what all of us want in our marketing, right? We just want to be relevant. We want people to know that they are partnering up with someone that understands their problem. And so that's why I wanted to kind of just open the kimono a little bit. I know we're not supposed to use that, but this is what I learned, right? Business 101, and just show you guys with my information. Because I think it's important that all of you know that this is possible, but it is the unsexy process of daily management, practice, and implementation of your marketing efforts that continues to track your relevancy. So why am I sharing this with you? Why do I keep talking about all of this stuff? And you know what, Melody, you're absolutely right. It is 100%. Data is important to review. Now, I typically, when I onboard a client, my programs are what they are, right? I don't discount, it is what it is. However, I have been talking to a couple of people and they said, how can we take one specific thing that you can do and we challenge you to give that thing away at a really low price point? And I had a nervous breakdown because I was like, well, the technology cost me this. And I had a lot of excuses. And you know why? Because I was fearful. Right? I was fearful that if I gave away my secret sauce that people would steal it. And you know what I've recognized is that for every person that tries to steal a strategy that I've proposed, they have zero ability to implement it. So that's not even a question. So I want to share with you something that I actually have partnered up with someone on because I think it's important to actually give you something tangible. Now you noticed that in that example, I have my, in this example, you can see that there is a letter grade that's associated to this. There's a letter grade that's saying, hey, this is why you're relevant, and it's actually tracking me. And wouldn't it be great for all of us to have a tool that you can dive into and kind of see how you're actually performing? How much is all of that brand awareness generating in an email or a phone call or an actual lead form being filled out? So let's dive into this really quick. So I'm not sure if she's on, but I know, here we go, the lovely and talented Sarah from Talent Mavericks and I decided, how can we help entrepreneurs and business owners? How can we come to the table and give you something? Because we know that you don't have an unlimited budget. Well, let me ask, do you guys have unlimited budgets? I don't know. I'm getting different DMs from YouTube and everything. No, we don't have unlimited budgets. Great. So no one has an unlimited budget and no one has too many customers. We're going to agree that those two things are true right now. No one has an unlimited budget and no one has too many customers. But you need to understand that when a customer goes to engage with you, the first thing they're going to do is stalk you, right? So if you don't have an understanding of what is out there about your brand or your business, you're starting from ground zero, and that's a bad place to be. So I don't care if you're in insurance, if you're an investment banker, if you're an entrepreneur, if you own a laundromat, if you're a teacher, whatever it is that you do, people are going to look you up. And by the way, I am a professor, and I do teach at a couple of universities, and I can tell you, students rate me all the time, right? I see my reviews. Yeah, I'm a little scary, but it's because I'm well-meaning, right? I'm intense. Now I'm going to show you what this other kind of report card looks like so you guys can conceptually see what I'm talking about. Now, what Sarah and I have done is we basically gathered together and we said, hey, if you are unsure, or you kind of don't know what your digital footprint looks like right now, how can we give you an assessment? So basically, we figured out, now what does this BED acronym mean? Well, I think most of you guys can relate to this, right? We always say kind of get out of bed. Now, why do I say that? Well, number one, we believe that a lot of people are in bed with their business, right? They're blame, excuse, denial. It's their marketing person's fault, or it's so-and-so's fault. There's always someone to blame for like the bad business decisions, right? Or they have excuses. Well, we've never had to do that, or we've got a great referral pipeline, or, insert other excuse here, right? And so we see that time and time again. But Sarah and I thought, well, what if we could give people kind of this snapshot of their business in a very particular way? And so what we figured out is, here are the stats as we know them. And I'm going to run through these with you so you guys can conceptualize this, right? If we know that more than 40% of local businesses depend on social media to drive revenue, it's not surprising that most of them actually aren't doing the things that they need to do. Why? Because they're running the business, right? We know that social media has a huge impact on buying because of how people are actually consuming information. So if we look at the consumption behaviors and say, hey, there's been an increase in about 60% in YouTube footage. People are actually starting their mornings now streaming. So streaming now starts at 10 a.m. So I think most of you guys are familiar with this, right? You turn on the laptop, you might have something running on your phone, you've got your stuff working over here, and you've got whatever, the West Wing streaming over here, right? So we know that to be true. Now, what we do is really see that if you are online, you're either driving conversions offline or vice versa, right? You either want people to see you online and make a purchase offline, right? Come to your store, come to your restaurant, get takeout from your place, right? Or on the offset, if you knew that when people do that search, that they're going to make that decision in 24 hours, you might take it a little bit more seriously, right? So what we've structured is a way to give you guys a business report card that allows you to really kind of understand why this might be useful for you. It's going to give you grades, and each of these grades is going to be across all of your digital kind of breadcrumbs. So what are we going to look at? We're going to look at the listings. We're going to see, hey, where are you listed? Do you have are you listed in all the right places the same way? What we know is consumers get exceptionally upset when they have to go hunting for the time that you're open. So a lot of the times we'll see, hey, like we're open from this to this. A customer will go to the store and the store is not open. So this has been happening a lot, right? Different restaurants that we love are doing takeout only, and they're not 100% clear with the hours. So Yelp says one thing, Google My Business says something else, Instagram says something else, and then TripAdvisor says something else. And you go, well, what the heck time are they open? And then what do we end up doing? We take our phone and then we make a phone call if you really want the food. If you don't really want that food, what you're going to do is just go to the next, right? So this report card that we're offering allows you to get all of this information. What are your reviews? Like, what are people saying about you? What words are you trending for? And really what we're trying to give you guys is an opportunity. And, we looked at it and I said, like, what does it take time-wise to do this, right? And we really said, hey, let's make it super simple. It's $9. That's it. And you can either schedule a session with me or Sarah to go through it. She's going to do a sales focused debrief with you, identifying different channels of revenue or things you might not have thought of. With me, I'm going to go through a marketing debrief, or you can just get the report for $9 and tell us to go kick rocks. And you can take that report with you, and it's going to give you a ton of suggestions and things that you can do on your own or get help with. So our hope today is to make sure that, number one, you know what's available to you, right? Hey, these things are available to you. You don't need a $5,000 budget right now today. So I'm going to go ahead and post that in the links in the comments so that you guys can see that URL and you have the opportunity to interact with it. But again, this assessment, it's $9. It's automated. It's going to give you a bunch of different grades. We can schedule a debrief, or you can join the micropreneurs group. We're doing live case studies in that group. Not only are we doing live case studies, but we have business building sessions where we bring in experts to talk about different things that are trending in the industry. I have someone that's going to come in and talk about starting a podcast. I have someone else that's going to come in and talk about setting up a sales process. I have someone else that's going to come in and design a website live. So my hope is that you guys come check it out. I would love to have any of you come and join us in the group. Alternatively, I also, like I said, wanted to come on today to show everybody kind of the behind the scenes of what it's really like to build a business digitally. I feel like it's really easy to see all of these YouTube videos and people being like, here's how you make money online, right? And buy my $29 class and I'm going to show you how to make money online. And then you buy the class and you're like, I still don't know how to make money online. So the reason that I decided to kind of come forward and share, hey, this is my journey. This is how long it took, because I didn't have a $15,000 a month budget starting off. Now, does that mean that you'll have the same results as me? Absolutely not. Everybody has their own pace, but I do want to show you in this example, it took a year of brand building. It took a year of consistent effort and data across all of those channels to actually see that lift that we needed. And I think if more people understood how important it is to be consistent with your content, say you're super busy, say you don't have time to do a ton of stuff, it is better to have one piece of quality content go up per week than a bunch of garbage. Right? Because we know with machine learning and algorithm analysis, 17 million things can be analyzed in a millisecond. So if you're putting out garbage, guess what? Google's going to see what you've got and they're going to go, this isn't a value, this isn't answering questions. And again, a third of brand experiences today are helpful, only a third. So my challenge to you today is think about getting your marketing report card, number one. Number two, if you have any questions, today's question was based on something that came up last week. We had someone text in and ask. Go ahead and text that number at the bottom of the screen. It's super simple. It's 619-377-1400. We'll take those questions and then we jump on once a week and we answer them live. Now the case studies and all of that live stuff is going to be in our group. That's Micropreneurs Unite. If you want an invite to that group, go ahead and visit that landing page or go ahead and reach out to me on Facebook. I'm happy to help you. I'm happy to serve. And honestly, guys, I hope you guys all have a wonderful day and that you're having a great week. I cannot wait to get into my office. I don't know about you guys, but until then, I hope you have a beautiful Tuesday. And that's all I've got to say about that. Bye-bye.